to Italy. It's round 15 of MXGP. MX2 race 1 is just around the corner, and we are back after a 3-week break. The last round, of course, being in Belgium at Lommel, the deep, deep sand. But here, while it's a sand-based circuit, it's a lot shallower, a lot firmer underneath. It will get choppy. There's no European Championship action on track today, so the track possibly will suit the MX2 and MXGP riders a little more favorably, but it will be very, very fast as well. We're about 2.5 hours from Milan, 30 minutes from Verona. We are still in the north of Italy, but there's a good crowd here, so it should be a pretty good atmosphere all the same. So just to give you a quick idea as to where we are, it's been pretty warm here as well all week, touching 30 degrees yesterday and on Friday, but in the north, so just slightly southeast of Milan. Good atmosphere out on track. It's a little more overcast today, but it's still quite warm, quite muggy. And the circuit, very similar to what it was the last time we came here back in 2010. But let's take a look at the circuit in a little bit more detail. Here's our GoPro track preview.
I'm Kevin Strybels, number 22, riding for the Rockstar Energy Suzuki World.
Brian Bogus, 189, riding for the AZF Logistic Motorsport Team.
It's a short start straight here in Mantova. Nicely ripped as well, but it's a very tight left-hand corner at turn 1. Slightly more than 90 degrees. Immediately the riders go past pit lane and then charge down into a very tight turn 2. On the gas, second, third gear, over the first jump, slight step up, and then we swing through here. It's quite a steep takeoff on this double. Some riders tripling into turn 4, but the majority going double, double, single. Out of the 180 left, over a slight knuckle jump, and then over this step up, not too long, but again, a very fast sweeping turn 5, a left-hander, not too dissimilar to one at Latvia and Kegams. Over the first of the Monster Energy jumps, over a single. This used to go 180 left, 180 right, but now you can see it's a 90-degree left and right chicane type turn, over the upon jump, and then into the right-hander. Again, not quite 180 degrees here. Short straight. Into the left-hander, and then it's on the gas, and this next Monster Energy tabletop jump, swinging through the left-hander, short burst and hard on the brakes. Again, this used to be a lot tighter, but they've just opened it up. It's more of a double apex right-hander now. Then a short straight through the left, and then we're into the first of 2 rhythm sections. Go inside, you can double. Go outside, you can step on, step off, but then you hit the big triple. That takes us uphill for the first time. This is a series of switchback 180 lefts and rights now, as you just saw there from the back view of the GoPro camera on the back of the machine. So through the right-hander, long straight back up. Again through another tight 180 left, dropping back down again. And then for the final time in this right-hander here. Might be a choice of lines through there as the race develops. This final ascent, not as steep as the previous 2. Not as high either, but then the second rhythm section, you can triple, double, double your way through from the left-hand side, but otherwise it's double, double, double all the way through. The penultimate jump on the track, pretty big tabletop, getting some air time there as well, through the final corner, and then we hit the Monster Energy finish line jump. Again, a very steep takeoff. Rejoin the track to head down the start straight to continue with another lap. So there is a lap of the track as seen, but here is what it looks like on paper. But we're going down to the grid. Here's Lisa Leyland.
Hello and welcome to the start of the first MX2 race of the day here in Mantova. I want to speak to current red plate holder Pauls Jonas, who's just right with me here. Pauls, how surprised were you in Lommel to get the red plate with just 4 rounds to go?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I didn't expect that I can do it in my first full year, and yeah, it's a great feeling to be riding with a red plate, and yeah, I just take it easy, you know, and I don't put extra pressure on my shoulders. Just I want to do my best race and hopefully to get a better start than yesterday. And yeah, we will see. I will do my best, and in the end of the day, we will see the result.
Now, we heard today that Jordi Tixier is out for at least 2 rounds. That changes the championship quite a bit, doesn't it? Are you excited? And also, at the same time, a little bit nervous because it's only 4 points separating you and Geiser.
At this moment, I don't look on the points. I just come to every race like I did before, and I want to do consistent models, and that's all. I don't look at the points, and I'm not nervous about that.
Okay, well, best of luck, Pauls. Thank you very much. I just want to mention, actually, when we were speaking to Red Bull KTM team, that Gianluca Facchetti was involved in an accident just before the weekend. He's currently in hospital, so our thoughts are with him, and we really do wish him a speedy recovery. But I do want to speak to now MX2 50 rider Brian Shue. Brian, you're a wild card for this weekend, aren't you? And it's your first time in MX2. How did that come about?
Yeah, I just want to try it out here because maybe next year I'm going to ride a MX2. So here it's like so different. The level is so high and much more stronger, and just want to try out here. So some experience.
Do you think you're perhaps pushing yourself to your limits, maybe out of your comfort zone being here, maybe?
No, I'm just calm, very calm. You know, just if they're faster, just let them go and try to keep up the pace. And anyway, it's just for experience. So I'm very excited, and yeah.
And finally, just tell us what happened in qualifying, because the tabletop jump just near the monster rig, you kind of misjudged it a little bit and you just landed totally off the jump on the side. Bit of a crazy accident.
Yeah, it was. I was very lucky, you know, also because there are normally many people are walking through there. But, you know, before the jump, I don't know what happened. I just got not balanced, so I just went off, and I was just like, okay, now no big deal, but it was a very big compact. Was very high and full. Yeah, was scary, but was good. I mean, I don't care.
Good luck, Brian. Thank you. Better luck to Brian for his first MX2 race here. Time for the championship standings.
Yeah, the championship looks like this. Pauls Jonas, the new championship leader now. He's 4 points clear of Tim Geiser. Hurling's obviously out of it. Guillaume, 25 points off. And then we've got Siwa Tixier, not here this weekend. Well, he is, but he got injured in a crash in time training yesterday. And he has a slight fracture or a crack of the wrist. He also rang his bell a little bit as well, so expected to be out, certainly for this week, and maybe even Assen as well. So, the championship now really down to 6 riders.
Dietro il cancello nel posto che è stato preparato con la consueta ed estrema cura, gli ultimi dettagli che vanno ad essere controllati da parte dei piloti, le lenti a strappo, l'occhiale da sistemare bene, il sudore da togliere dalla fronte per poi tornare alla moto, salire sopra.
So, riders out on their sighting lap then, and we will catch up with them in just a moment, but here's what happened in the qualifying race yesterday afternoon. Well, hot conditions yesterday, almost 30 degrees out on track, not a lot of wind either. All the favoured riders up the inside. Tim Geiser, 243, not getting a good jump, and then getting snagged by Samuele Bernardini and Jens Getterman on board here with Max Anstey as he held it nice and tight. Tim Geiser, it got worse for him. He went down at turn 1. Petrov went down, got hit by his teammate Covington in the background as well, along with 2 other riders, but they rejoined the race. But Valentin Guillaume found his way past Jeremy Siwa by the time they reached turn 4. Anstey here in 3rd place on the Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki, and that's how it would stay for the first few laps of the moto. Just behind them, Harry Koulas, Damon Growlers, Pauls Jonas, Brian Shue, Adam Sterry and Benoit Pacharel, with Michele Chervelin just hovering there in 10th place. But Valentin Guillaume, one of the main championship contenders, leading the way in the qualifying race ahead of his fellow countryman Jeremy Siwa on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki. And Anstey there, number 99, not letting them out of his sights. Anstey really playing a smart game in the qualifying race. Tim Geiser, though, fell on 2 more occasions throughout the race, really making it difficult for himself on that Garibaldi Honda. Max Anstey. Thought he'd found a way past Jeremy Seewer through the rhythm section, but Seewer had a slightly better run and was able to fend off the Brit for at least another lap. Circuit conditions pretty perfect, actually. Bit of water had gone down, but you can see the problems that Anstey was having. Eventually, though, he did get the opportunity. Carved his way neatly at the inside of the Suzuki, got himself in the second, and then went about chasing the 92 of Valentin Guillot as they pulled away from the Suzuki of Jeremy Seewer, leaving him to fend off the advance of the KTM of Paul Jonas. Circuit pretty fast, obviously no European Championship action, so not as bumpy as it otherwise would have been at this stage of the day in qualifying. But these two certainly set the pace in the MX2 qualifying race. Valentin Guillot, standing construct Yamaha Yamalu, and Max Anstey, Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki, starting to smoke a little bit in the second half of the race. Found his way past Valentin Guillot, but Guillot responded immediately. Found his way back in the lead, but then Anstey made it stick, so a little bit of cat and mouse going on with these two riders in the second half of the race. This is a triple into the rhythm section. That's where Jordi Tixier fell on his first flying lap in time training, which is why he will not start the race today. And then Anstey just taking a bit of front wheel there of the number 60, Brian Toccacelli. Jeremy Seewer almost doing the same as he started to catch Valentin Guillot. Paul Jonas was gaining ground as well, set more than the fastest lap on one occasion. Slight mistake from Seewer allowing Jonas to get through, but then in the closing stages he also made a mistake and started to lose ground. But it was Max Anstey who was the winner from Guillot, Seewer, Jonas and Kulas.
Numero 81, Brian Shu. 811, Adam.
So here's how the riders will line up then. Max Anstey, Valentin Guillot, Jeremy Seewer, Paul Jonas, Harry Kulas, Damon Growlers with his best qualifying of the season. Adam Sterry, so too for him in ninth, and Ivo Monticelli. But what about Brian Sue? His first ever Grand Prix, qualified in 8th on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki. Covington recovered well to get back to 17th after that crash at turn 1. But Ryan Villapoto joins me now, and the last time we saw Ryan was a couple of weeks ago. He was in Lommel, and Ryan Villapoto, Monster Energy Kawasaki, now retired of course. Welcome back. First time to this Mantova circuit, I guess. What do you think of it so far?
Yeah, it looks good. You know, it looks like the track it's good for spectator viewing, and it's got some good jumps, and the track looks like it's a pretty good place to race on. You know, you got multiple lines, and you know, the dirt seems like it's pretty good too.
Been busy again this weekend, I take it?
Yeah, always busy, you know. So got in on Friday, and then you know, got here to the track and stayed here. So it's been busy. It's been also a little jet lagged, you know, a little tired, but everything's good. We're you know, we're enjoying it.
So when did you actually get in then to Italy?
I got into Verona at 3:50. I think I landed. So yeah, it was you know, long travel, but yeah, it was okay.
And obviously, when we spoke to you in Lommel, you were getting ready to go down to Italy. You've obviously been back home since, but you were doing the 2016 Kawasaki launch. How was that for you?
That was, you know, something new for me, but also cool. And they did it at one of the GP tracks in Italy. So that was cool. We did, you know, presentations, got to see the new bike. The magazine guys got to ride them. I think they were very impressed with it. The new bikes, you know, they've made some really good improvements with it. It's 8 pounds lighter. So, you know, as for big changes, as from a rider standpoint.
I was just going through my phone a moment ago, and I know that just before Lommel, you did a photo shoot with a guy,
yeah,
Red Eye, Gary Freeman.
Yep.
He's sent me some of those pictures.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, this is just for your own enjoyment now, but something to look forward to.
Looks
but
good.
Harry Kulas, problem with the bike there, just in the background, as the 15-second board goes up. So the rider who finished 5th in the qualifying race yesterday looks like he has a problem there, and obviously mechanics can't fire it up. So obviously having a problem there, but the gate about to drop here. All the fancied riders at the inside, and you see Harry Kulas still stranded in the background as Max Anstey and Jeremy Seewer duke it out, but it's going to be Seewer who looks like he's grabbed the foxhole shot as a couple of riders get caught. Well, more than a couple of riders, but it's Anstey by turn 2. Is that Sue going down? I think it is. Possibly Brian Hsu going down there, but oh, look at him trying to bump start. Well, he's then trying to push it down the start straight to get him into the work area, Harry Kulas, because that's where the mechanics will be. So Julian Lieber also going down in the first corner. That was just him in the background there. But there's Anstey going through. Jonas second. It looks like Siwa. Oh, Brian Hsu in third place. So it was Brian Hsu in third, not Jeremy Siwa. And then Geiser in fourth, Gio in fifth. Then the number 7 there, Damon Graulis in sixth. Adam Sterry, that looks like, in 7th position. 8-4, Benoit Patrel, the Kawasaki of number 64, Thomas Covington in 9th. And then the TM of Samuele Bernardini, but it's Anstey leading the way. Not sure if you had a chance to watch the qualifying races yesterday, Ryan Villapoto. Did you or not?
I didn't get to see a lot of it, no. I was, you know, busy running around, but, you know, I'm getting a good chance to look at it right now.
Brian Hsu, normally riding in the European 250 Championship.
Yeah, I did see that. You said this is his first GP, and it's a great start to it, you know. Just get a whole shot, and he's up front and staying out of trouble so far.
But the championship battle with Jordi Tixier not here this weekend. Now just down to 6 riders. Max Anstey, one of those. He currently sits in 7th place in the championship. He would have been 6 down on Jordi Tixier. Tixier not starting this weekend due to a crack or a fracture in a wrist, we're told this morning. Might miss next week as well in Assen. So a tough blow for Jordi Tixier. But Jeremy Siwa just a little bit further up the track in terms of the points chase. So it's really going to start to concertina, just 46 points behind. As Topicelli there, just picking his bike up from that turn 1 crash. So in terms of the championship then, only 46 points separating Paul Jonas and Max Anstey. And it's Jonas there in second, number 41 on the Red Bull KTM, the new championship leader. A lot of questions being asked about arriving here as a young kid, as a rookie season. And obviously with the red plate, with just a handful of rounds to go, that's a lot of weight on those young shoulders, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, you know, but I think he's dealing with the pressure well. He's riding well, he's consistent. You know, and right now, look at he's running second, and you know, sure, pretty much that's what he has to do to more than likely clinch this. You know, no big
Anstey's down.
Just like that, you know, no big mistakes, no problems, and now he's in the lead. So it's you know, he's riding well right now.
So Anstey then setting the pace, drops down behind Valentin Gio. That's not what he wanted. He was very smooth and calm yesterday in the qualifying race. Took 4 laps to go from third to second, another 4 laps to go to the lead, and then led for the last 4 laps. But Anstey now really on the back foot here. It's not really what he wanted, because when you're at the front, Ryan, I guess you can just set the pace and dictate it and turn it up when you want to, but he's now going to have to chase it, isn't he?
He's going to have to chase it, and also, too, he's going to deal with the roost factor, and it looks like the track's a little bit, you know, sloppy.
Oh, and Gio's down.
Yeah, so it looks like it's a little bit wet, so it's going to be splatter in the goggles, and you're always going to have to be pulling tear-offs, and you know, by the end of the moto, you might run out. So that's always a you know, a worry as a rider.
Well, Tim Geiser, this is playing nicely into his hands, because he is second in the championship, 4 behind Paul Jonas, and he is now second now behind Paul Jonas, as Anstey falling, and also Valentin Gio. And when you look at the championship, they are guys that are directly in line. Jonas, Geiser, Anstey, Gio, 4 of the main challengers. Jeremy Siwa, meanwhile, he's down in 14th place, or he will be when he comes over the line this time around.
It looks like Max's bike is smoking again a little bit.
He was on the clutch a lot yesterday, I'm told, and that obviously, you know, causing a few overheating problems. But
well, we're only 25 minutes to go, and that's a lot of racing left for it to be kind of doing that already. So hopefully he can, you know, ease back on the clutch.
Because yesterday was the second half of the race in what was a 25-minute moto, 20 plus 2. So, as you say, if he's already on it now, then, yeah, might be disastrous for him, because he threw away possibly 25 points in the second race in Lockett. He could have done with those 25 points in the championship. But obviously, there he is. Where is he? Third in the race at the moment. So it's Jonas then, the new championship leader and race leader now. He's got Geiser on the Garibaldi Honda, breathing down his neck. That's the first 2 there. Out of the turn where Anstey just crashed a moment ago. He's in 3rd position, though. Brian Hsu, great ride for him in 4th. Graulis 5th. Gio 6th. Sterry 7th. Patrel 8th. Borges 9th. Petrov 10th. Brent Van Donnick is 11th. Thomas Covington is 12th. Samuele Bernardini 13th. Siwa, up to 13th now, having just passed Bernardini. And then we've got Getterman, Monticelli, Jacobi, Lundgren, Giuseppe Tropepi and Nicola Reccia. Ben Watson just out of the side of the points in 21st, although he looks to have found his way past Reccia. And Julian Lieber down in 30th position, so having more than one crash on this in the opening laps of this first MX2 race. Paul Jonas, Ryan Villapoto, we were talking about him just a moment ago in terms of dealing with the pressure and obviously arriving here with the championship lead. Under the watchful eye of Stefan Everts, had a good winter with him, worked very, very hard, and he's here this weekend as well.
Stefan last night a little bit, and kind of talked about how he came up and said that he wanted him, and he's done good with him so far. Look at him, he's points leader, riding well, consistent, smooth, smart. So it's big, it's huge.
Max Anstey just being left in the background there. He was 4 seconds down, but it's Anstey who sets the fastest split at sector 1 this time around, so maybe just taking a couple of laps to regroup and setting himself down. I mean, when it's that early in the race, Ryan, when you're, let's say you're leading or you're challenging for the lead, and you go down like that, sometimes you can pick yourself up. Everyone's still pretty much bunched together, aren't they? And it becomes very, very difficult as guys are almost off the track there, just to regain that focus. And I guess you find that, is it as easy to get yourself right back on it that early in the race?
Yeah, he just fell over, and look, he's back up to these guys. He's regrouped, took him, not long to regroup. He got up, bike was still running, spikes the heart rate a little bit. Sure, it's not what you want to do. Gloves are maybe dirty and things like that. So just take a couple laps to regroup and get back into the pace, and now he's back there.
It's Valentin Guillot, 92, standing construct Yamaha Yamalu, trying to find his way past the number 7 of Damon Growlis, the European 250 Championship contender, and Brian Sue, who sits 5th in that European Championship. Both these guys wildcarding this weekend, but Brian Sue on that yellow Suzuki, the Rockstar Energy machine, taking his first appearance in the MX2 World Championship this weekend. And as you say a moment ago, he's in 5th place at the moment.
Yeah, he's riding really well. He's, to jump into the class and jump in and start racing with these guys, I mean, it shows that he's fully capable of doing that. And yeah, he's going to have mistakes. He's young. But right now, showing that he can run the pace with the top guys is great. If you're if you're looking at him for next year.
Yeah, and he's a former 85 FIM Junior World Champion. He was European and 125 Junior World Champion last year in 125, stepping up to European 250 this year. But might be riding in the MX2 category next year, staying with that team, we presume, on a long-term deal. As Benoit Paturel going around the outside of the KTM there of Adam Sterry. So Paturel up into 7th position and immediately down the inside of the number 81 of Brian Sue. So 2 positions in about 2 straights for the Frenchman, who looked pretty good in the early stages of practice and time training yesterday. So definitely getting his head down on that Khmer Yamaha and going after the lead group of riders. Valentin Guillot now just ahead of him in 5th position. Ryan Villapoto, just in terms of the team you've been riding for, Monster Energy Kawasaki, of course, Tyler Rattray, teammate of yours, good friend as well. Has he commented on the circuit this weekend in terms of there's no European Championship action? Because a lot of riders in post-race interviews have said, with the amount of riders out on track, you guys go on track on a Saturday morning and the track is already rough and already gnarly, and then by the end of the day, even more so. So we'll see no European Championship action this weekend. As you can see, it's a lot faster and not as physically demanding. Has he commented on it at all?
Yeah, no, I asked him how the track was, and obviously the difference between not having all the other classes and all the other riders, and he just said it's better. It's better to race on. The lines are all our lines, and the lines are better. So, definitely that hints that we need to find, or they need to find something that's going to help the tracks for next year.
We'll replay at the start. Anstey up the inside. Guys are up on the pegs in the middle of the gate. And this is the GoPro live feed from the front of Brent Van Donnick's Yamaha. Got a live radio antenna on that, but it was Brian Sue who grabbed the advantage. actually they're in the same kit. I think he went down in the next turn, didn't he, Jeremy Sewer? So it might have been Jeremy Sewer with the foxhole shot. Brian Shue was right there as well. Yeah, Sewer grabbing the foxhole shot. Then he fell at turn 2. So Tim Geiser on to Garibaldi. The gap just slightly opening up now, so just settling down. Paul Jonas on the Red Bull KTM, your race leader. Bit of a panic rev there, though. Didn't get the distance over that little rhythm section. And he's still got 20 minutes to go. Hasn't won a race yet this year.
No, that's surprising. That's, look at consistency, right?
Mm-hmm. He's had a lot of second place finishes.
Every race, just be consistent up front, podium, and holding the red plate.
But Tim Geiser going after him, certainly looking interested. Now the Slovenian, got a good fan base here this weekend coming out to support him, but he knows that the championship is on the line. These two first and second in the championship. Paul Jonas leading the championship by 4 points. Tim Geiser here is second in the championship. So he takes a win here from Jonas. That brings it down to 1 point going into the second moto.
So yes, very close, very close.
Anstey, is he getting closer? Ever so slightly, 2.8. So actually, Anstey really has not a lot to lose. He said yesterday in the post-qualifying race press conference, if he's not really thinking about the championship, but the reality is, if he is to be world champion, he has to go out. A bit of a kick there from Geiser. He has to go out and win every single race. That's all he can do.
Yeah, and also hope for maybe a mistake from one of the other guys. You know, he's close mathematically. He can still win, but you know, you don't want to have to hope for maybe a mistake from one of the other riders. So, but right now he's got to win all the win motos and maybe hope for a mistake.
Well, there was almost a mistake there from Tim Geiser. Just half a lap ago. The Slovenian fans there urging on.
He's got some good lines right now. He's moving around on the track, and some of them are longer, some of them are a bit different, but they're smooth, and he's able to keep that same distance or made a mistake, case that jump. So I think they're good lines. Oh, changing it up is always good.
Watching the qualifying race highlights a moment ago at the top of the program, we saw as Jonas just making the most of some good lines and maybe capitalizing on a mistake. That lap of Tim Geiser. Max Anstey, for instance, he started in third, took a few laps to get himself into second past Sewer, and then another 3 or 4 laps to find his way past Valentin Guillot. And it was Anstey who was using a lot of the track. Valentin Guillot was very static in his approach. He was pretty much using the same line, lap in, lap out. And we see now he's still down in 5th position, whereas Tim Geiser, he crashed at turn 1, crashed again lap 2 or 3, crashed again mid-race. So when you're in that position, you are forced to have to go looking for lines, aren't you, when you're that far back? And do you think that's obviously works in his favor now? He knows that there are options out there.
Yeah, totally. Coming through the pack, he's always had to have different lines, and you don't want to follow, eat the roost, and make passes. So it makes it good for, for instance, today. Now he's right here, right on Paul Jonas, and is able to take different lines, and he knows what kind of works. And if it doesn't, he has a big enough gap on Max to not have Max pass him or something like that.
Just taking a quick look here, Petar Petrov on the Monster Energy Kawasaki in green has found his way past Brian Hsu, so gets himself up in the 7th. Hsu on that Rockstar Energy Suzuki, the yellow machine there, number 81, gets pushed down to 8th place. Adam Sterry on the Wilvo Fortbrent KTM, looking like he's having 1 or 2 problems because he's now being passed by Brent Van Donning. Well, no, he slams him back again in the very next left-hand turn. So the Kimiya Yamaha just getting a little bit of roughshod there from the Brit. And then you've got Brian Bogers in the background, just in 11th place on that white HSF Logistics KTM. Thomas Covington 12th, Jeremy Sewer 13th, Jens Gillerman 14th. Bernardini on the TM is in 15th, ahead of fellow Italian Ivo Monticelli. Jacobi is 17th, Lundgren, Watson and Tropepi rounding out the top 20. In this off-season, when you were testing, Ryan, whereabouts were you doing a lot of your riding when you did come to Europe? Was it mostly in Holland and Belgium?
Yeah, actually, we did Holland, Belgium, Germany. Went down to the north of France, and just kind of we chased around different soils and tracks and hard pack to sand and things like that. So I think it had a fairly decent variety.
Brian Sue just starting to feel the heat now from Adam Sterry. These guys fighting over 9th place, 8th place. Sterry, of course, European Championship runner on that Wolvo 4 and KTM. They have their final round in a week's time in Assen, Holland, in the north of the country, just north of Amsterdam. So it's going to be a busy weekend for us next weekend. The final time we're going to be in Europe before heading out to the flyaways, Mexico and USA at Glen Helen. But look at this freight train of riders here. Thomas Covington just behind the white KTM there, number 64. In his, second full season in MX2 Grand Prix competition. A rider you know pretty well, I guess, Ryan?
Yeah, I know Thomas, pretty well from the States and also being over here.
And how's he finding it this year? Because obviously it's been pretty up and down, hasn't it? He got a 4th place at the round in Argentina, I think he was, and then, in that respect, it's not really come alive for him there. 2 4th places, one in Thailand, one in Argentina in terms of the overall classification.
I don't know. I think he's doing pretty well. It's different and young kid coming over to Europe and sure, he's got a good team around him and good help, but it's still it's not like being home, So it's going to take him a few years, I think, to kind of figure it all out. And a couple 4s, he shows that there's potential there, for to do well. So I think as long as you have speed, you show potential.
Here he goes.
It's promising.
Did he head home in the break? Oh, nicely up the inside of Brian Bogers and takes that position away. So moving up into 11th place now, the Monster Energy Kawasaki rider. Do you know if he headed home in the break the last couple 3 weeks? Or
I think he's been here. I think he told me he's been here.
I guess the thing is, what it's like being in America. The tracks out there are completely different to what they are here. So if you go out there and ride for 2 weeks out of the 3, for instance, it's not a case of just undoing things, is it? But
no, I mean, and also you got the travel back there and get on that time schedule, right? And then you come back and then you got to travel back here and get on this time schedule. So when it's there's a weekend off or something, it might think that that maybe it's a good idea to go back or something like that, but it's better to stay here.
Nice line there from Tim Geiser as he carved his way through the left-right combination there on the back straight, and look how tight it is now between the first 3. Pauls Jonas out, Covington down. So unfortunate then, that looks like it's coming out of the first corner, going into the first corner. There's the Foxhole shot line there, just behind, I think. So Jonas, Geiser, Anstey locked together. They are not 2.2 seconds apart. Or has Anstey made a mistake as well? Because he was right on the back wheel. Oh, he's there in the background. It's Geiser's made a mistake because Geiser, while we cut back to Thomas Covington, has made a mistake, and Anstey is now right behind Pauls Jonas. They disappeared up the hill. So he's got a little bit of ground to make up now, Tim Geiser, because here are your leaders here, look.
Yeah, must have fell over or something.
So it must have been in that bottom right-hander before, behind the KTM sign.
Yeah, a little mistake maybe. I think, is it before the little on-off, maybe?
So this is advantage. Pauls Jonas then. He will extend his lead by another 5 points. That'll give him 9 if it stays like this as they head into race 2. Valentin Guillot looking to find his way past Damon Growlers as Tim Geiser takes a quick look towards the finish line jump to see where Jonas and Anstey are. Those two are 1.6 seconds apart, and that's cost him 5 seconds. Tim Geiser, that little fall in one of the corners out on the backside of the section. So Jonas won't be too concerned about Anstey at this stage because he knows he's got 46 points over the Brit in terms of the title race at the moment. But he would like to try and wrap up a win here if he could, to take maximum points. Always important in a title fight, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, if he goes back to second and then those 5 points you were just talking about, it's no longer 5 points, and it's still really close. You start getting those race wins and the guy that you're racing against gets third, that's a good little points gap. And it's those add up quick.
Well, in terms of the championship, as we said, Pauls Jonas here, the new championship leader. He's got Max Anstey behind him, who is the other end of the championship challenges. He's 7th in points at the moment, but no Jordi Tixier here, so he will be 6th in this chase. Jeremy Seewer, meanwhile, is also involved in the championship. He's 12th in the race at the moment, but he will move 5 points behind Max Anstey. So the championship as it stands like this now will be Jonas 4.58, Geiser 4.49, Gio 4.24, Hurlings obviously out of it at the moment 4.23, and then Anstey 4.09, 5 points clear of Jeremy Seewer. But Valentin Gio had a tough Lommel MX Grand Prix of Belgium. And he's finding it tough here as well, but he's now found his way past Damon Growler's, got himself up into 4th place. So 2 more vital points for Valentin Gio. And you see Anstey triple, double, double through that combination. Jonas wasn't doing it yesterday and was still setting fastest laps of the qualifying race. But you see that, how much time it makes there.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit smoother. You land where, you know, a lot of the guys aren't. So, you know, once again, could be missing a few bumps by jumping there.
Talking about that, obviously Sean Simpson was, Sean and Gauthier in Lommel getting over that quad.
Yeah, exactly. Landing where people weren't. It was a little bit smoother.
So we're crunch time in this first MX2 race. 41, Red Bull KTM's Pauls Jonas of Latvia leading the way from the 99 there, the green Monster Energy Kawasaki DRT machine of Max Anstey. They are less than a second apart, as you can see, and still around about 6 seconds behind them, Tim Geiser, who 2 laps ago, possibly in this right-hander or the next left, made a simple mistake and fell from 2nd position, and that's allowed Anstey now a clean run to the Red Bull KTM. Track start looks like it's starting to rough up a little bit now, Ryan.
Yeah, it looks like it's definitely getting a little rougher. Also, the base seems like it's coming out, so made a mistake, Nancy there. The base is getting a little bit harder, so just like that, you know, it's got that nice traction or looking dirt on top, but then underneath it's a little shiny and harder. So really have to be careful on you know, how far you lean the bike or push it on the tires.
Anstey trying to find his way past. He won't be able to triple into the rhythm section this time around unless he finds his way past Jonas before he gets there. So the advantage that he was finding out on track will be cut back. Or will he triple? Yeah, he still triples in. So he just gave himself enough space, and the back marker moves aside, so you can clearly see the difference that it makes by going triple, double, double.
Yeah, a little quicker.
And Max Anstey not want to sort of wait until the last lap to try and spring the attack. He'd want to get it done now, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's always better to do it sooner than later.
At least the bike can stop smoking anyway.
Yeah, it looks like it's cooled off a little.
Might have just been in the frenzy of leading, dropping it, panicking, getting back, and just maybe riding too aggressive.
Always a little excited first couple laps.
Still going for the short line, the lower line on takeoff there. Is he going to bring to the inside? Geiser had a great line here a couple of laps ago. He went wide and got out the turn early and carved his way. And looks like Anstey going to be setting himself up here. Couldn't do it, had to go wide of a back marker, but tries to do it here, and nicely up the inside, Anstey. And takes the lead then on lap 12. So he led for the first 2 laps, Max Anstey. He now finds his way back in front. It's been a very patient game for him, hasn't it? Very patient race.
Yeah, he you know, strategy-wise and how he played that out was well. Regrouped after falling over and you know, bridged that gap to those guys, and then Geiser made a mistake and fell over, and Max was right back into 2nd and didn't have to work for that one, and just took it nice and easy and was able to make a pass on Paul.
Here's how Max Anstey took the lead. He got out early in both these left and right combination turns, was able to get on the gas, force his way down the inside. Jonas knew he was there and had to react, look. And that was it. Easy in the end for Anstey. He's a new race leader. And Max Anstey now already starting to pull clear of Jonas, maybe a second and a half, couple seconds, something like that. 5.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. But Tim Geiser is right there in 3rd position, so Pauls Jonas cannot afford to relax as much as he would otherwise have hoped.
Well, just like we were talking about, you were talking 5 points, and now I think it's down to 2. So you know, still points, still better than it was going in, but it's not those 5.
Covington in. So here's Geiser. And Valentin Guillot just behind him, as he knows, about 7 seconds back, 6 or 7 seconds back. So, but the top 4 riders in this race, Anstey, Jonas, Geiser, Guillot, all championship contenders. The only one that's missing there is Jeremy Seewer. He's down in 11th place at the moment. Of course, no Hurlings, and Jordi Tixier not starting today after picking up a wrist injury yesterday. He might even miss Assen. But Valentin Guillot just making it difficult for himself. Made a decent enough start, but fell over on one of the hills. And maybe just the head, the momentum, it may have even been down again, who knows. But maybe it's too early to say whether the wheels have kind of fallen off the championship. When you look at him, 4:26, and then we talk about Anstey being a contender, there's no way those wheels have fallen off. It's just an off race, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, you know, it's a big thing, big picture in a long series like this. This bottom line is consistency. You mentioned Paul hasn't even won a race yet, and but he's consistent on the podium every weekend. On his bad days is when you win races, and he hasn't made a big mistake.
One rider going down there, the 122, Nicola Lapucci. There was a horrible hook on there yesterday. Very lucky there, Nicolas Lapucci, because look how the bike just bounces out of the way.
Yeah, man, that he got lucky there. His body cleared the landing. He just, you know, skated down the backside, and the bike cartwheeled, and luckily missed him.
So Locatelli then just picking himself up and rejoining the race. But Pauls Jonas, well, there's the gap back to Tim Geiser, who's having to ride extra hard now in the second half of this race after that mistake that he made, just to try and claw back his main championship rival, Pauls Jonas. And, I mean, the guys are all fit anyway, but it does eat into the fitness reserves, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also fitness is one thing, but also just maybe overriding, and you know, he knows the points are close. He needs those little extra points. You know, and you're subject to potentially making another big mistake or having another crash and you know, losing more points than maybe you would have if you would have just calmed down and finished, say, 3rd. But you always have to keep pushing.
And he knows as well that the guy who's 3rd in the championship, Valentin Guillot, is just behind him in the race in 4th place. So again, he cannot afford to make mistakes because he could be losing points to another rival, as Covington down again. So just one of those races for the young American. Same corner.
I think it's actually, it looks like it's really deep, that first corner.
Yeah. Here's the Honda Garibaldi squad, keeping their eye on this guy. 2:43, Tim Geiser. Definitely looks like he's got his head down as he goes after Jonas in that battle for 2nd place. So Geiser running out of time, 1.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. He's about 4 seconds down on Jonas, or he was at the start of the lap. 1:53.8 last time around for Anstey, a 56.0 for Jonas, 55.0. So we're talking 0.02 of a second, the difference really. Oh no, a second, just over a second actually, Jonas and Geiser. So he is closing in. Board goes out to Geiser. -4 seconds is what the team are telling him. Is that Getterman coming in? Yeah, the JTech Honda rider. Normally you're not allowed to enter pit lane at the exit point, so he will already be penalised for that, but Getterman down in 25th. No points to be taken off of him there anyway, so disappointment for the Belgian. But Geiser, he will look up and he'll see, going through the chicane ahead of him, Pauls Jonas, 3 or 4 seconds ahead of him. See how hard he's riding, hey Ryan?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, you have to ride hard and always push for that next thing, but also be smart.
The organisers here telling us that the circuit had been ripped for about a month before we came here because obviously with the dry summers that we have in Italy, and notoriously this time of year the ground is very hard. You can see hard bases in parts of the track, like on the hillside here. And I was talking to Sean Simpson, and he said actually the track, they ripped it, but the start straight, you walk down the start straight and thought it's going to be nice and fluffy and everything else, but he said it's really weird, it's still hard underneath. There's still a very slippery base to it. So in that respect, you know, I guess the dangers are rife, aren't they?
It makes it tough, you know. Like you said, your mind and your eyes are seeing something that looks like it's kind of soft, and you get into somewhere, and maybe you get on the gas too hard, or you push this area maybe a little too hard, and it's got a hard base underneath, and you lose it, and you're like, you turn around, you're like, what just happened?
Got a little bit squirrely through there as well, Jonas, but for somebody so young, you know, rookie season in MX2, doesn't look like he's having a problem dealing with the pressure, does he? Very similar to Roman Febvre, for instance, in MXGP.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's riding well, dealing with the pressure really well, consistent, gets good starts, puts himself in a good position right off right as the gate drops.
And looking for different lines as well, you know what it's like, Ryan, when you sort of attack these jumps. Look, they're worn down on the right-hand side there, where Anstey, the race leader, just goes. He's just not opting to go into those lines. It might be, look, you know, a little bit lower, but he's thinking, okay, there's the off chance that you could grab the foot pegs through there, or there might be a little hook on the top. So go for something that's a little bit less defined.
Yeah, exactly. It's always nice to be able to ride somewhere where nobody's touched, and it's, you know, fresh dirt, fresh ground, and smooth.
Well, Max Anstey, 7th in the championship before the start of the race, moved himself up into 5th with this performance here in race 1 at the expense of Jordi Tixier, who has not started after his crash yesterday, where he picked up an injured wrist, and also Jeremy Seewer, who he has overtaken because the Swiss rider down in 10th place at the moment. And Max Anstey, who picked up his first race win in Germany in Moto number 2, suddenly finds himself in the last 3 Grand Prix picking up 5 Moto wins, make it 6 out of 7. With a race win here, if he just keeps it up on 2 wheels in the next lap or so. So can't do any more than he's doing, but again, we can't emphasize enough how expensive would those potential 25 points have been that he lost in Lockett.
Exactly, yeah. Big mistake like that, and then you go back and look, and like you just rang off 6 motos wins out of 7, you said?
Yeah, it will be.
You know, that's huge. And if it wouldn't have been for that one little mistake, or that one big mistake, call it, you know?
You know, when you look at it, as we pick up Jonas here in 2nd place, the championship leader, you know, Anstey, double moto win in Latvia, a win and a DNF in Czech Republic, 2 wins in Belgium, and the other victories, I say, coming, you know, in Germany in the 2nd moto. So certainly notching him up, but is it a case of too little, too late?
Exactly.
Never know.
Yeah. Little late, but also that I think that 0 points killed him.
Geiser still around 4 seconds adrift of Jonas, just there ahead of him. That 2nd and 3rd in the race. I wonder if Jonas just made a slight mistake, you know, because that was about 3.5 seconds as they came over the line. Might just be eating into it, but it is the final lap, so it's going to take a mistake really for Jonas to lose that 2nd position to Geiser and liven the championship up in that respect. But Max Anstey knows that as he's approaching traffic, can't afford to take his eye off the ball either. A little bit cooler today as well, Ryan, so riders not going to be fading in the heat.
Yeah, no, it did definitely. Yesterday was a little warm, and you know, today it started off, I think, this morning with a little overcast, a little gray out, and then the sun burnt it off, and it's warmer out now than it was, but nothing like yesterday.
There's Jonas 2nd, there's Geiser just behind him in 3rd in the flash of green. So the top 3 guys pretty much about the same distance apart. 4 or 5 seconds back to Jonas, about 3 or 4 seconds back to Tim Geiser. Gio right off the pace, 13 seconds adrift now in 4th place. Growler's 5th, Patrol 6th, Petrov 7th, Sue 8th, Sterry is in 9th. And Jeremy Seewer in 10th. But what a performance from this kid. Not going to be a race win, but it still means he's going to extend his lead over Tim Geiser with a 2nd place finish here, because Max Anstey, though, will take the checkered flag. He will win race 1 on the Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki. Jonas will be content with 2nd, and Geiser takes 3rd. And that's the result here in race 1. Thoughts on that, Ryan Villapoto?
Well, for Paul's there, it's you know, good moto for him. You know, just gained 2 points. Could have been 5, but something's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
Consistent. I think he was the only one that didn't make a big mistake. Geyser fell over, Max fell over. Max was able to rebound, get back up, get back to the lead. So, yeah, it was good.
Here's our winner with Lisa.
Max Anstey, congratulations, winner of race 1. Good start, made a mistake, and you really had to be patient before you made that inside pass on Jonas.
Yeah, yeah, it was yeah, a silly little mistake, and then at the end the lappers were getting in the way. It's crazy because it's quite tight out there. The lappers, I know they're racing for position also, but no, I won't make that mistake again. I was annoyed that I went down. Silly little thing, but track's working well, and yeah, go back, regroup, and go again.
Good job, thank you, Max.
So Max Anstey then, 3 wins in a row now, 2 in Belgium, and the first race here in Italy. Annoyed with himself for making a silly little mistake, but he'll go back, he'll regroup, as he said. He'll look forward to coming out in Moto number 2. Will he be swinging and fighting just like he did in this one? Well, we'll find out in a couple hours' time, of course. But not doing his championship chances any harm at all. Goes from 7th to 6th now. And he sits on 412 points. So then Max Anstey wins race 1 in the end by 3.5 seconds exactly over Paul's Jonas. So a win for the Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki rider. Jonas on the Red Bull KTM 2nd, Tim Geiss on a Garibaldi Honda 3rd, Valentin Guillot, standing constructor Yamaha Yamalube 4th, Damon Growlers, Kimiya Yamaha was 5th, Benoit Paturel, his teammate 6th, Petrov on the Monster Energy Kawasaki 7th, Brian Stew, great performance from him in his debut appearance in 8th on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki, ahead of his teammate Jeremy Seawer 9th and Adam Sterry 10th on the Wolvo Fort Rank KTM. Brent Van Donnick was 11th, Samuele Bernardini on the TM was 12th, Jacoby 13th, Ben Watson, Hitachi Revo KTM 14th, Julian Lieber 15th, Anton Lundgren, Harry Kulas did get into the race and got to 17th in the end. Mika Boy de Waal of the Netherlands was 18th, Giuseppe Tropepi 19th, and Simone Fillotti 20th place for the Italian. A little bit of water going down on the track. Or on the fans, as it looks like. But the championship now looks like this. Paul Jonas extends his lead to 6 over Geiser, and Guillot moves up a place to 3rd at the expense of Hurling, so 29 points off the lead now for Guillot. Anstey up to 5th, Seawer down to 6th, Tixier down to 7th, and no change for Julian Lieber in 8th. Petrov is 9th, and Benoit Paturel is 10th. So Ryan Villapoto joined me there in the first MX2 broadcast. What next for you? Will we see you in the Netherlands in a week's time?
Yeah, it looks like I'll be there. You know, so we'll be there. We'll be hanging out, autographs, and bouncing around, and you know, staying busy.
And it sounds like it's going to be obviously a man-made circuit on a road race compound. You know, at the famous road race Assen circuit. So a circuit that nobody's been to before.
Okay, yeah. So I you know, I've raced Donington before and the man-made tracks, and you know, most of the time they seem like they're okay.
All right. Well, Ryan Villapoto, thanks for joining us once again here. I'll let you get yourself out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, here's what happened in the MX2 race. The gate dropped, and it was Jeremy Seawer who took the foxhole shot. Max Anstey was right there in 2nd, and a couple of riders going down in the back. Tocatelli was one of those guys. Then Seawer lost his front end going through turn 2, and eventually came home in 9th place. But it was Max Anstey who led the way from Paul Jonas and Tim Geiser, with Valentin Guillot in 4th. So the 4 of the main contenders were right there, but then Anstey was the first to crack. He fell from the lead, picked himself back up in 4th place behind Valentin Guillot, but then it was Guillot who also fell in this next left-hander. just a simple slip. Anstey was back into third. Brian Shue took over fourth. But all eyes are on this battle here between the 41 of Paul Jonas and the 2:43 of Tim Geiser. As just 4 points separated them in the championship and less than a second separated them out on track in the race. Thomas Covington was having a tough time. Made this pass though on Brian Bogus. Got himself to the fringes of the top 10, and then he made a couple of mistakes later on in the race. Also came in for some running repairs as well. What was a disappointing outcome for the young American. But Anstey started to comb in and close in on the 41. Paul Jonas. Jonas really making Anstey work very hard for those 25 points. But his move came a few laps from home when he squared off the two turns and neatly found his way past. And that was Anstey into the lead and immediately started to pull away from the Slovenian, from the Latvian. The 122 of Nicola Lapucci had a lucky escape as he ejects himself out the front door over the finish line jump. But Geiser just left himself with a bit too much work to do as Jens Getterman found himself pulling out of the race. Guillaume started to drift off the back in fourth place. But Tim Geiser, again, despite closing in here, 2:43 on that Honda Garibaldi machine, despite closing in on the 41 of Jonas, had to be content with third. Jonas doing everything right and riding a potential champion's ride. Not showing signs of the championship leader's red plate that's strapped to the front of that Red Bull KTM. He was having to sit about 4 seconds adrift of Max Anstey, Monster Energy DRT Kawasaki, who on the final lap just took a quick look over his shoulder to see exactly where everybody was, but it was Anstey who came home to win the first race here in Mantova, Italy.
MXGP qui Gran Premio di Lombardia. Un premio, ieri c'era un'ostrizione facci sognare, per un attimo mi ha fatto sognare perché sei partito, un paio di giri in decima posizione, quindi una piccola soddisfazione, seppure nella manca di qualifica te la sei tolta.
Well, at the start of all that, of course, about 5 or 6 seconds after the start, there was a Foxhole shot that was duked out. And the Foxhole shot went to the 91 of Jeremy Seawer on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki Europe machine. Christian Mercanti, the Fox dealer, doing the honours this week. But look at that. Devonish, Tonkov, Hurlings, Anstey, all on the same amount of whole shot awards.
Di qualifica però per in pista naturalmente per cercare con il suo team Italian Factory di fare il miglior lavoro possibile. Ieri abbiamo avuto un problema.
Right, we'll be back in a moment with MXGP Race 1.
Provato a partire ma poi no. Amplificate in termini di punti, c'è la lotta per il titolo che vede